Tokyo Ghoul, man, what a series. It's for sure one of my favorite. It was my first manga I've ever read, and it has some great artwork, some great storytelling, and very interesting characters. So, today I'm basically just going to be doing my review over Tokyo Ghoul. I'm going to have like a plot aspect, an artwork aspect, and like characters and ending, and I'm going to try and keep this spoiler free. But if there ever is a spoiler, I'll just tell you when to skip ahead if you don't want to hear the spoiler. So if I ever get into spoiler territory, I'll just tell you. So let's get into the review. To put it simply, Tokyo Ghoul in Tokyo Ghoul follows the main character, Ken Kaneki. And so basically what happens is he goes on a date with this girl and finds out that she is a ghoul. Ghouls are these people that look like humans, except they have to eat human flesh, and they have this little organ called a kagyun or whatever, and they use as self-defense or for hunting. So he finds out she's a ghoul, but then luckily this big pillar just falls on her. And then, but he also got bit, so he needs an organ transplant, and then he gets the organs of a ghoul. And then he's half ghoul, half human. Let's get this out of the way. If you want to experience Tokyo Ghoul and like the best possible experience, I definitely recommend the manga. Anime just leaves out too much, and the artwork in the manga is really good, and it just kind of, in the anime, just really skips to the fight scenes and isn't as like good as a story as in the manga, and its animation is just kind of average, and the artwork in the Tokyo Ghoul manga is way above average. So manga is just the best. It's just the best experience overall. Let's start off the review with the most important thing to me in a series, and that is the story. The story in Tokyo Ghoul it's very complex, you could say. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's very chaotic, and the characters, they always have like a bad backstory, and it's kind of like there's no real bad guy in Tokyo Ghoul. I mean, there is. There's just like, there's two sides, and they're not evil, but they're not good, because they're both attacking the other side, but you can see why they're doing that, but there is also bad guys on both sides, so there is technically bad guys. Also, the development and Kaneki's character is amazing. He starts off as like this little wimpy, kind of like high schooler, and kind of nerdy and stuff, and then he just turns into like what he is at the end of Tokyo Ghoul RE. Speaking of Kaneki, I think that is a great way to get into the next aspect of the review, and that is the characters. I think most of the characters are very interesting. You have interesting characters from each side. You have Amon, Investigator Mato, and a lot more investigators, and my favorite investigator, Juzo, probably my favorite character. He's so cool. And then on the ghoul side, you got like Toko, Yomo, Kaneki, and it's just really great characters. They're all interesting. None of them really feels boring. They all have a pretty interesting backstory. Like I said, they usually have a bad backstory. And I would say my favorite would be Juzo from the human side, and my favorite from the ghoul side would be Kaneki or Toko. Next up, we should probably talk about the fight scenes. Fight scenes are also pretty important. I think that the fights are kind of a bit hard to understand because the artwork it's a bit much at times, so it's kind of hard to understand, but the fight scenes are still really entertaining, and sometimes they can have really cool panels, and I don't think they ever really just like fight for no reason like in Dragon Ball. So the fights usually have more meaning. They have a good amount of meaning. Now the last thing we will be talking about is the ending. I think the ending was pretty good. And by the way, there is going to be a spoiler here, so skip ahead to this time. even though it was a happy ending, I think that was good because in the original Tokyo Ghoul, there was not a happy ending, and I think that was something we needed. And I think, like, I see how y'all say the ending is rushed. It kind of is, but I didn't really mind it too much. It was still really, it was a pretty solid ending, in my opinion. They should have had a bit more build up, though, because it did kind of feel rushed. So, overall, I would say I give Tokyo Ghoul, the original, an 8 out of 10, but I give Tokyo Ghoul RE a 9 out of 10 because overall I prefer RE because I think it dives a bit deeper into the characters, into the world, and there's a lot cooler fights, and there's just a lot more stuff going on that is really cool. So, overall, Tokyo Ghoul is an amazing series, and I think you should check it out. And I recommend getting the Shonen Jump app if you want to read it, because you get all of Tokyo Ghoul and Tokyo Ghoul RE for only $2 a month. So, it's really good.